And developing as we come on the air, another battle is brewing between the White House and Democrats over the president's authority to continue the war in Iran. Some lawmakers believe today marks the deadline for when the White House needs congressional approval. We're following the very latest on the drama surrounding the War Powers Act. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown, in for Jan Jeffcoat. It is Friday, May 1st, and this morning the White House and some members of Congress are fighting over that 60-day clock in which a president can conduct a military operation without congressional approval. Now, Democrats say time is up. However, the Pentagon says the clock has been paused. We have team coverage following the latest, including Christine Frizzell on Capitol Hill, with more on those intense exchanges between lawmakers and also the war secretary. But first, we're going to start with Mark Boyle at the live desk. Good morning, Mark. The White House is showing no signs of letting up, even with this War Powers Act that's now in debate.
Yeah, Angela, good morning to you. It's essentially a war of words at this point. The White House pushing back on that deadline today when it comes to the military action in Iran. The Trump administration says, look, the ceasefire has changed things, and that deadline to get congressional approval stopped the moment it went into effect earlier this month on April 7th.
Ultimately, I would defer to the White House and White House counsel on that. However, we are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire. You're not in. Yeah. It's our understanding, just so you know.
And at the same time, the White House is not wasting any time now, looking to ramp up military action once again in Iran, all in an effort to force the regime there to make a deal that meets key United States demands on Iran's nuclear capabilities. And here's what that would look like, just to name a few. Target Iran's infrastructure so they can't rebuild and just wipe out their military bases, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, also secure Iran's enriched uranium. All three here putting even more pressure on the weakening regime.
At this point, Iran is backed into a corner. The reality of it is the Ayatollah doesn't matter anymore. And I'm sure that Admiral Cooper laid out a very distinct set of target options available for the president as commander-in-chief, and he's going to execute it.
The White House has not said yet when any of those new operations could start. As to the deadline today, President Trump is expected to notify Congress that he plans a 30-day extension or disregard it altogether. We'll track it for you this morning at the live desk.
The cost of filling up keeps going up.
This car used to cost me $25 to fill up. Now it's going to $47 to $50.
$4.39 is Friday's national average gas price, according to AAA. That's a more than 47% increase since the start of the Iran war and the highest price since summer 2022. The Iranian regime effectively closing the Strait of Hormuz, a trade route essential for 20% of the world's oil. And President Trump's naval blockade is stopping Iranian oil from getting out.
As long as the Strait of Hormuz continues to be closed, oil prices are likely to face continued upward pressure. If we don't see a reopening soon, it's possible that by Memorial Day or maybe July 4, gasoline prices nationally could be getting close to the $5 mark.
The White House getting updates from energy executives like Chevron CEO Mike Wirth, who says he's worried about broader economic pain if trade doesn't pick back up, and soon.
If we don't get supply reestablished, demand will have to come down across different sectors of the economy.
About 4 in 10 Americans say they're driving less or cutting back spending elsewhere because of high gas prices, according to a new ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll. 1 in 3 say it's made them change travel or vacation plans.
Nope, we're not traveling, not till this gets down. You can't afford to travel.
I was hoping to do some traveling, but we were canceling it. We're not doing nothing.
The question debated in Washington, do Americans think rising gas prices are a necessary cost of this war?
Gasoline's high, but when this is over, you'll have a world without a nuclear weapon with Iran.
Lawmakers divided along party lines about the standoff in the Strait of Hormuz.
American families are bearing the cost of a war they wanted nothing to do with.
And they're exhausted. They are truly exhausted.
In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
I'm Matt Gelka in Washington, where there's a debate over the deadline for Congress to get involved in military action in the Middle East.
They want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it.
The president throwing cold water on the latest Iranian offer. The proposal coming as Trump sent letters to Congress saying he considers the war terminated and didn't need lawmaker approval to potentially continue the conflict.
Nobody's ever sought it before. Nobody's ever asked for it before. It's never been used before. Why should we be different?
Under federal law, presidents have 60 days to respond to threats with military force and then need to withdraw troops or get congressional approval.
Is the president intending to either seek congressional authorization for the war in Iran or send us the legally required certification that he needs an additional 30 days to remove U.S. forces from the war?
We are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire.
The deadline comes as Americans are increasingly questioning the war. A new Washington Post, ABC News Ipsos poll shows more than 60% of Americans think military action in Iran was a mistake. And while nearly 80% of Republicans think strikes were the right move, only 46% think it's been a successful effort so far, with another 46% believing it's too soon to tell. While the timeline gets debated, the U.S. naval blockade cutting off Iranian shipments in the Strait of Hormuz continues. It cut off Iran's ability to sell oil mainly to China via the waterway, severely limiting money coming into the country.
The question is, for how long are they willing to endure this pain before coming to the negotiating table with a different set of red lines and demands?
A statement from Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei Thursday vowed to protect the country's nuclear and missile capabilities, along with control of the strait. President Trump told reporters Friday the U.S. still has the option to, quote, blast the hell out of them or make a deal. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.
With Iran has taken both a human and financial toll on the world since it started in late February, and the ripple effects of the conflict continue to plague different industries across the globe. One of those being the global fertilizer markets, because the same energy used to make gasoline is also used to make fertilizer for crop production, and all of it is being held up in the Strait of Hormuz. Let's go to Emma Withrow from the Fact Check team. You dug into the cost today, Emma. Since the start of the war, how much have prices risen?
So since the Iran war started, the price of urea fertilizer, which is the world's most used crop nutrient, has surged nearly 60%. So for example, Reuters reports that fertilizer is the most widely used nitrogen fertilizer. It's gone from roughly $450 a ton to more than $700 per ton. So that's raising fears that today's shipping crisis could become tomorrow's food crisis, is what a lot of people are saying. According to the International Food Policy Research Institute, the fertilizer price spikes are happening alongside some fairly lower crop prices. So IFPRI says that this can kind of create a bad input-output price ratio, which typically lowers fertilizer use, potentially leading to reduced production. So it's going to cause problems all around, and we're already dealing with lower crop yields.
Right, that's a good point. And this is the third major shock to fertilizer markets in 6 years. Important to note that they were dealing with stress prior to the war in Iran. How has the fertilizer industry recovered in years past?
Yeah, absolutely. So we obviously had COVID a few years ago. We also then had the Russia-Ukraine war, and now we have the war with Iran, between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. According to IFPRI, the world recovered before by rerouting trade, ramping up production, and also governments kind of started just throwing money at the problem. But the system itself really never got fixed. So it'll be interesting to see how this is navigated going forward, considering the implications are global.
And different factors as well. Emma, thank you. For more on this Fact Check Team topic, including links to their sources, scan the QR code or visit thenationaldesk.com.